Hello everybody. We are right now at questions number 3. Before we start our lesson today, let's look at a quote. Don't be pushed around by the fears in your mind. Be led by the dreams in your heart. Now, it is shared by a politician. Now, so let's move on with question number 3. Now, diagram 3 shows a human digestive system. So we have this is our stimulus. This is the STEM questions, and then we are given a stimulus ST. So let's look at it carefully. So P is somewhere at the mouth. So if P is an organ, then P should be mouth. If Q is an organ, then yeah, of course it must be organ because it has been stated here that this is a human digestive system. So anything here that could refer to organ. So we have our stomach. We have R. R is found inside a very big organ here. So this big organ is actually the liver, and inside the liver we have a sac that stores bile, and this R is actually the gallbladder. Now bear in mind that gallbladder doesn't produce the bile. Bile is produced by the liver, but then the bile is then transported to R to be stored. So during digestion, R secretes the bile to the duodenum via the bile duct. So this part, this part is actually the bile. This is a bile duct. And then what is this tiny this structure that looks like a leaf to us? This is actually the pancreas. And then we have, after duodenum, we have the small intestine, followed by a large intestine, and then the intersection between small intestine and large intestine is the appendix. So finally the undigested material is stored temporarily in this part known as rectum. So when the rectum is full, then we have the sensation to answer the call of nature. Now let's move on to A. Name gland X. Now this is quite simple. So we have a task word name here. Name it. So make sure that you know how to name it. This is salivary gland because it secretes saliva. And then questions number 2. A2. Bread contains starch. Explain the role. Explain the role of gland X in the digestion of bread in P. So we have a few keywords here. Number 1, the function of gland X. So what is the function of gland of salivary gland? It must be to secrete salivary saliva, right? It must secrete saliva, and the saliva contains salivary amylase. In the digestion of this starchy thing, okay, known as bread, so we have the bread. The bread contains starch. In P is the mouth. Okay, so basically we can start answering right now. So P1, we are going to talk about gland X first. So the gland X secretes saliva, and the saliva contains salivary amylase. And then how does it help in the digestion of bread? So the amylase hydrolyzes or breaks down or digests the starch into maltose, and saliva also provides a neutral medium for the optimum activity of amylase, because we know amylase, salivary amylase, requires a neutral condition to work. Now, so a lot of people have this misconception. They use to think that the starch is broken down to glucose directly in mouth, but basically it is not. Okay, the digestion of starch, it happens in a series of steps. So first of all, the starch is hydrolyzed in the presence of water. We use the water to break down the starch molecules to maltose, and it happens at the mouth. And then in duodenum also, the starch, which has not been fully broken down at mouth, will continue to be broken down here in duodenum. So starch is hydrolyzed to maltose in duodenum with the help of pancreatic amylase. And then the maltose enters duodenum and small intestine. It enters the small intestine. So, but the maltose will be continued to be broken down to glucose only. Sucrose is a disaccharide, so it is not broken down at mouth, stomach, or duodenum. It is only broken down in small intestine. All right, small intestine. Another name for small intestine is ileum. In sucrase is the enzyme that speeds up the digestion of sucrose to glucose and fructose. Lactose is also a disaccharide. It is only broken down in the ileum with the help of lactase. So lactase is a catalyst. It speeds up the digestion of lactose to glucose and galactose. Now, so bear in mind that since bile is secreted to duodenum, so the content in the since bile is secreted to duodenum, so the content from duodenum all the way to small intestine should be alkaline. So pancreatic amylase, maltase, sucrase, and lactase all work in alkaline medium. Now, number 3, explain why the process of digestion of bread does not occur in Q. So Q, as we know, is a stomach. So why this process does not happen? So it is because in stomach we know that, okay, stomach, number 1, it doesn't produce amylase. And then number 2, the amylase from the mouth doesn't work with in acidic condition. So the stomach is acidic because it secretes HCl. So HCl is acidic, so it stops the activity of amylase from the mouth. And then number three, basically, okay, so the bread doesn't contain protein, so that's why the bread cannot be broken down in Q. So let's look at the answer. So number 1, we are going to say that the pepsin or the rennin in the stomach does not complement or is not compatible to starch. So it explained about the first statement that we have mentioned just now. So Q doesn't have amylase. It produces pepsin, which is not compatible to the starch. And then number 2, even though we have the amylase from the mouth, however, the stomach is actually acidic. So the HCl or the acidic medium is going to stop the activity of amylase. Or we say that the acidic medium denatures the amylase. Then point number 4. So why the process or the digestion doesn't take place? It is because the starch cannot be hydrolyzed into disaccharide. Okay, now we are at B1. Name organ R. What is organ R? So organ R, as we can see here, it is a sac in a liver. So R is gallbladder. It's gallbladder. Then number 2, a person has a gallstone, as in diagram 3. Let's look at diagram 3 again. Now, as you can see here, so this part, okay, this is a gallstone. The gallstone actually blocks the bile duct. Now, so as a result, the bile here cannot be secreted. Secreted 就是释放 cannot be secreted into duodenum. So what is the effect? So we are going to explain the effect of this condition, which is the appearance of gallstone in the bile duct to the digestion of lipid in S. Now let's try to find some ideas from the question. So S is duodenum, and then digestion of lipid, okay, and digestion of lipid is related to bile. So the gallstone actually blocks the bile duct. So when the bile duct is blocked, so basically we do not have bile secreted to duodenum. So what is the effect of this? No bile to the digestion of lipid. So the lipid cannot be broken down into tiny droplets. And please note that the emulsification, which is a physical, this is a physical digestion, doesn't change the chemical structure of lipid. In fact, it just breaks the lipid down to tiny droplets. So guess what will happen to the digestion of lipid? So of course the digestion of lipid will be slower, or you can say that it stops or it is halted. So if I were you, I will state the effect first. So what is the effect? So I'm going to say that less lipid is broken down to glycerol and fatty acids. Why is it so? Then only we come back to P1, because the bile cannot be channeled to S. Now, so please note that we need to state the direction of the flow of bile. If we never say the direction, so this point is not accepted. So bile cannot be channeled to S. So that's why lipid cannot be emulsified into tiny droplets in S. So it explained about our statement just now, which is less lipid is broken down to glycerol and fatty acid. So as you can see here, basically the answers are given in the question. So if you know how to read the questions, basically it will help you to write your answers. So please identify every task word and keywords in the questions. Now last one, let's look at C. Explain one difference in the digestion of protein that occurs in Q and S. I'm going to label it first. So this is my task word. So by right I should have F, effect, and E, explanation. One difference. So I should have one difference and an explanation in the digestion of protein, nothing to do with carbohydrates or lipids, that occurs in Q and S. So Q is stomach, this is stomach, and then S is duodenum. So certainly Q and S is also a very important keyword. So let's look at the note first. Now make sure that the difference must be stated in a sentence. So if you split the difference into two sentences, so basically you are giving facts instead of comparing the two, the digestion in Q and S. So unless we were asked to explain Q and S, so if the task is to explain Q and S, then you don't have to compare. Basically you can split this part into two. Explain the Q first, followed by the explanation on S. And then table for comparison is not accepted in section A, but in section B, if the questions requires you to compare and contrast, make sure that you prepare a table. Now let's look at C. So explain one difference in digestion of protein. So basically in protein we know that in Q we have the protein. The protein is actually hydrolyzed to polypeptides, but then in S, the polypeptides will be broken down into peptides. Alright, so in Q, now it is stated there, protein is broken down. Wow. I use a connector here. Well, in S, polypeptide is broken down. Then in Q, the protein is actually broken down by pepsin. So this is the explanation why protein is broken down, because Q contains pepsin. And then in S, why the polypeptide is broken down, because S contains trypsin. And then Q, why protein is broken down, because the pepsin requires an acidic medium to work. While in S, the trypsin breaks down polypeptide to peptide because S contains the alkaline medium. So perhaps we can do some kind of some sort of summary here. So basically there are three types of protease. Alright, protease are the enzymes that break down protein. So one is known as pepsin and renin. and then these two are actually secreted at the stomach. And then the second group here is trypsin. Trypsin is secreted by pancreas. By pancreas into duodenum. Okay, the last one is erepsin. Erepsin is secreted by ileum. So what does pepsin do? Pepsin basically speeds up the hydrolysis of proteins to polypeptide. And then trypsin speeds up the digestion or the hydrolysis of polypeptide to peptides, which are shorter than polypeptides. And then lastly, erepsin. Erepsin will complete the digestion of protein. So pepsin plus water is hydrolyzed to amino acids, which are the basic building block of protein. Renin, on the other hand, actually coagulate caseinogen, which is soluble protein, into casein, which is insoluble. Right. Now, so basically today we learned how to compare things, and make sure that if you want to make comparison, state your comparison in a sentence. Don't break the difference into two sentences. All right. So I hope you enjoy this lesson. Okay, at least we are learning something new, or recalling what we have learned before. So hope you continue to progress. Okay, don't be pushed around by the fears in your mind. Be led by the dreams in our heart. So I'm going to see you again